Jason Verrett has informed. How did he do this? Did he go on social media? What did he say? He's not testing.
No, some guy said he was going to test the market. Some guy on Instagram. I saw it through the SF 49ers, but basically Jason Verrett endorsed it by liking the Instagram post that said he's going to test the market with the report.
Journalism in 2021, but that's solid. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
What does this mean for the 49ers?
I mean, I don't think this is like bad. This doesn't mean Jason Verrett isn't coming back. But this means that the Niners are going to have scramble to bring Jason Verrett back, because the thing is with Jason Verrett, I'm going to be fully honest. I don't even know how to anticipate what his market is. How the heck do you know? Because the bottom line with Jason Verrett is, he played great last year, but he was injured at the beginning of last year. He's been injured the last 3 years. He has the 1 year of production, and he's above 30. So how much, like, the reality is that he played last year like a guy who should get paid $9 to $11 million in this market. But how do you actually know? How do you know what anybody's willing to offer?
I think that you can't know. But I think maybe it'd be fair if the Niners were to say, you know what? We've just rewarded too many players who came in clutch at the end of a contract season. Like, we did need to stop doing that. Jason, if you prove us wrong, God love you. But we did it for Armstead. We need to stop paying people for like 3 good months right before they become free agents. I mean, he did it. Akello did it for an even shorter time. Jimmy Garoppolo did it. Who else? A lot of players have. Like, no, there is a contract year thing, and it's a real phenomenon. And would you feel comfortable about giving Jason Verrett a 3-year contract with like a lot of guaranteed money?
No, and it's not even with him. I don't even think it's that the play is going to drop off. With him, how do you know that tomorrow he's not going to get hurt again? If you remember, Jason Verrett had a lot of lower body, and he had a shoulder injury coming out of TCU. I remember because the Niners were very heavily linked with Jason Verrett in that draft. And
he's a baller.
Was it a torn labrum coming out of TCU?
Yes. And these injuries that he had in San Diego happened like in minicamp. One of them, I think he tore his Achilles during like a conditioning test. Bizarre stuff.
This is a 5'9", 190-pound corner that plays like he's 6'2", 215 pounds.
Very muscled up 5'9" dude whose body has been like not falling apart, but like breaking down for a long time.
They need him though. They need him.
If you let him go, you have to have a high-end replacement because he played like a top 10 corner in the league.
I agree, but I wouldn't mind if they balked. If somebody offered him a 3-year, $30 million contract, I wouldn't mind. That's
but now you got to like go get Stephon Gilmore, or we could talk
William
about
Jackson,
someone like that, or spend the 12th pick on a quarter, or trade down, get multiple picks in round 1 and spend one of them on a quarterback. Things like that. They got to do something creative. Corner.
Yeah, I mean, they need a corner, and ideally you need one of Jason Verrett's level. But honestly, they don't even have depth at the position. They don't even have do they even have one starter if Jason Verrett walks next year? Because Emmanuel Mosley hasn't been tendered yet.
And the problem about moving on from Verrett is you've seen him match up against DeAndre Hopkins. You saw what he did against the guy who basically beat you week 1. You know you got to face twice a year. If you move on, you want to have someone to replace him that you feel equally confident in his ability to match up with the guy you got to face twice a year. And even if it's a rookie, like you've never seen him against DeAndre Hopkins.
It changes your draft plans because tomorrow you might be sitting there and let's say Mac Jones is on the board and you love Mac Jones, but you think that Jimmy Garoppolo and J.C. Horn, or Jimmy Garoppolo and Caleb Farley, or Jimmy Garoppolo and Patrick Surtain is better than Mac Jones and Emmanuel Mosley. What if you're analyzing that? And I'm not saying any of this is true. I'm not saying this. I'm just saying they analyze the value like that and they say that's better. Well, then you're stuck. You don't get the quarterback you want, which to me, like, corner is a very valuable position too. So like in terms of positional value, this isn't insane, but this is something to consider because corner will then become a huge position of need. Like, it's been a position of need the last 3 years, and it would be like the last 3 years wouldn't even compare to how much of a need it would be.
Also, I got to say, I've been watching a little Patrick Surtain. I don't know. I don't think that's
D. Milliner vibes?
No, I wouldn't say that because D. Milliner was a terrible, but if he does certain things well, he's got sticky coverage. He's just not physical at all. And I know it's neither with CJ Henderson, but like, I really feel like
CJ Henderson was twice the athlete he was.
Yeah, I feel like he plays kind of small and like he's not going to match up well with freaking DK Metcalf or DeAndre Hopkins. Like those are bad matchups for him. He'd be better matchup against a guy like.
So I haven't watched any of the corners, but all I know is two people who I trust, who do their own evaluation and really do their homework, and Kyle Posey and Eric Crocker both aren't overly high on Patrick Surtain. So, I mean, to me, that's something that I would have caution.
Yeah, when I was going back and watching Jamar Chase, who we're going to talk about in a minute, I felt that Trayvon Diggs was the better corner of the two. More physical, bigger. That's how I felt. But, I'm not the greatest scout. Real quick, we got a bunch of donations. We'll go through them. Raymond Martinez says, is it possible that should Jimmy be traded, the Niners draft two quarterbacks this year? What do you think? Is that – because, Kyle technically did that in Washington.
Yeah, they did do that in Washington, but I think that was because they didn't like the first quarterback they drafted. So I think it was like
a deal they made with Daniel Snyder. He's like, hey, okay, fine. If you're going to force this quarterback on us, please let me take the one I like.
Yeah. So, no, I just don't see that.
Probably not. And remember, guys, they do have Josh Rosen. That is a project 24-year-old quarterback. If they think anything of him, think of him as one of the quarterbacks they're drafting. And if they draft another one, that's kind of – now you have two young guys on your team, plus C.J. Beathard if they bring him back.
Now, here's a scenario I would be intrigued by. Trade for Sam Darnold and draft a guy at 12. Now, that's a lot of investment into the quarterback position. It would depend on Sam Darnold not being traded for pick 43, and it would be like a fourth or a third this year and maybe a 2 the next year in 2022. But that's something I would be more intrigued by.
I just think the Niners should get Ryan Tannehill 2.0. Damn it, Gumby says Shaquille Griffin and Michael Davis are both corners who have played more than 90% of the possible games. Both are familiar with the Seattle scheme. I'd be cool with Shaquille Griffin.
They're a good point. Yeah, Michael Davis is actually a name I haven't brought up. I've brought up Shaq Griffin and Kevin King. I'm not the biggest Shaq Griffin fan. It just depends on the money. And Michael Davis is a scrappy, solid player, too. I wouldn't mind him, too. Again, it just depends on the money. These guys have to be like $3 to $5 million corners that come in and start for you.
The way I felt about Shaquille Griffin, so you see him twice a year. I don't watch him every game, but I always felt like really good athlete, can play man in zone, can tackle, commits too many penalties. I don't know. That was him a couple of years ago. Does he still do that? Like he's good for a penalty game, and
he's not the best in just straight up man-to-man coverage.
Got it. He's not exactly Jason Verrett.
The best guy is William Jackson III.
Oh, I liked him. Hell of an athlete
from Houston. Yeah,
he played.
I liked him before his draft too. Yeah, but I think William Jackson III is just going to price himself out of the Niners range.
Oh yeah. Really, ideally they take a corner at 12, but
he had a nice pick for Sam Darnold. Garoppolo playing cover 3 last year.
Yeah, baby. All right, Jamal Armstrong says, "Don't you think it makes sense that Jason Verrett tries to get as much money as possible while the stock is high? His injury history has been bad, but he's been a Pro Bowl player when healthy." Yeah, that's what I would do.
We're with you. We think he should get all the money he deserves, but we're also talking from a 49ers perspective in the sense that like how much money for them to pay him makes sense.
Yeah, like he should go get all the money he can, and the Niners should probably let someone else do that. Someone else cash him out. Like it's really risky. And I feel like, every team can take a few risks, but the Niners have taken a lot and they've gotten burned by it. And they need to kind of like, take a stand and say, we're not going to do that as much anymore. And let other team that hasn't been taking risks take one with Jason Verrett.
With him, it just depends on how much the money is. If it's between like $7 and $9 million on a 2-year deal, the Niners better go try and match that offer. But if he's above $10 million and it's above 2 years, I think that okay, fine. If you balk, okay, I understand it.
It's going to be similar to the Emmanuel Sanders situation from last year, although I think he's going to get paid more than Sanders got paid. He's going to, we'll see. Wilson says, Grant said Kyle needs to make the playoffs this year. Does he actually need to? He just signed an extension. Consequences if he doesn't. I can't read. Makes me think this will be a long-term draft. New quarterback, Jimmy gone.
So
they're not going to fire him next year.
Yeah. So if he doesn't make the playoffs next year and the quarterback is Sam Darnold or Jimmy Garoppolo, it's not that he will be fired. It's that he will be on the hot seat. 4 losing seasons out of 5, like, people will start to ask the questions they haven't asked about him until now.
Yeah,
if he drafts a quarterback and doesn't make the playoffs, I think that this year will just turn out to be a total wash. But the question is, have you seen how much Kyle Shanahan has aged in the last 4 years, just in how he looks? Is he willing to go through the stress of losing another 10 games in a season with a younger quarterback that he's trying to get prepared and get ready to go like this? I don't know.
What he looked like in 2017 compared to now, it's just like he was so clean cut with a really clean cut. And now he's just like me, man. And he's got a ton of gray hair. It's like he's been the president of the United States. It's like he aged 10 years.
He looks like a guy that sleeps maybe like 4 or 5 hours a week.
Yep. And that's why these coaches eventually quit. It is an unreal grind. You always feel like you're not working hard enough and the next team's working harder than you. And it's tough.
Because
it's tough.
They don't have an off season either. Like, they take 2 weeks off and then they got to study like 20 players for free agency and like 100 players for the draft.
Yes. And Kyle Shanahan is not exactly the best delegator. He really trusts himself and his dad. So Tony says, let Verrett walk, recoup a comp pick. 1 year of quality play from an off-injured free agency acquisition plus a free pick later. Good deal.
Yeah. I mean, with the comp pick, if he priced himself out of the Niners range, it'll be a 3rd-round comp pick. So it doesn't seem terrible to me, or 3rd or 4th, I think.
You just have to have a really good replacement because Jason Verrett really did a good job last year. Final question, and then we're going to get back to our topics. Do you think Pats would accept a Jimmy G and our 2nd for their 1st? Draft Slater at 12, quarterback of the future at 15.
Maybe. I think they're going to trade down at 15 anyway. That's their MO. But I mean, who are you going to get at 15? That's my question.
Hold on. Let's entertain that real quick. Let's say that Jimmy Garoppolo has to New England, roughly the value of the Niners' 2nd round pick. So let's multiply that by 2. Okay, hold on. 470 times 2 is what? 940. That gets you almost. That gets you to the 7. Almost there. Almost. Not quite. You'd have to throw in a little bit more, but this is very clever. Black Samurai. So it's interesting. I don't know. Maybe New England. I don't know. I see. That's clever as hell because the Niners should be trying to figure out a way to get a 1st, whether it's a conditional pick down the line that can become a 1st or throwing in some of their own assets to get 15. I think that's really clever. At least ask. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least ask.
Or it might have to be the other way around. It might have to be QB at 12 and then maybe miss out on Slater and get Darisaw or somebody like Vera Tucker or somebody at 15.
Good stuff, Black Samurai.